The one thing that comes up is that obviously as a business owner, a lot of the focus, and rightfully so, is around trying to establish a business and risk management, whether it's obviously the focus or an awareness perspective might not necessarily be top of mind. But how should we start changing, or how should business owners start changing that approach compared to what they see from a traditional perspective?
It's quite a complex answer, to be honest. I mean, you mentioned um, SMEs being the backbone of the economy and the growth economy. I think we saw, particularly post COVID, a huge shift into entrepreneurship. So here you're talking about previously salaried individuals that lost jobs out of necessity, had to open up their own businesses, but not necessarily fully equipped with the correct skills. So now you can imagine, as a business owner, you're now embarking on this new venture to provide for your family, and it could be selling widgets or what I mean, just trying to make ends meet. Um, and that brings a whole host of complexities. Firstly, is the entrepreneur themselves, are they adequately equipped to assess all the risks? As a salaried individual or person that's got permanent employment, you're really looking about your personal risks, and how you protect your family in the event of illness or death or something like that. As an entrepreneur, you become entwined with the business that you're growing. And obviously you go through phases of growth, but there become subtle complexities in terms of how you manage overall risk. And that risk is not then not compartmentalized into your personal life and business. They become part and parcel the same. So you have to embark on a whole new strategy around how I make sure that my family is protected and the business that's growing is also protected. Because often you look at the business owner in isolation. Businesses, and why they're the lifeblood of the economy, is because they're actually employing people and they're providing services, which creates secondary work. And the economy actually relies on these businesses making it and being sustainable. So if something happens to a business owner, which is the lifeblood of the business, you get this ripple effect into the
Yeah,
economy, and there's actually a far-reaching consequence.
yeah,
So it's something that I think is quite complex, and needs to be assessed.
yeah. I mean, as you're saying, from the business owner to the employees, then you look at the family of the business owner and then families of the employees. So it's a critical topic. And I mean, the point that you make around it's not easy, or it's very difficult to separate the business owner from their personal affairs. The first thing that comes to mind is when you look at call it personal risk management. As an employee, your income replacement, you get your salary, your pay slip, and there it is. But how do you start valuing a business owner from a personal perspective? As in, I imagine for most business owners, what they're earning, their formal take-home salary is not necessarily the value that they bring into the business. How do you do that valuation as part of risk management?
Again, it's quite a complex one, and particularly in the light that, from an entrepreneur's perspective or a business owner, you don't necessarily have the same guaranteed salary month to month. So you can't just run a straight based formula to say, well, this is how much income I need to sustain the household or the family in the event of disability or severe illness or even death. Um, so it's a far more complex thing to say, well, outside of the business, how important is the business, the ongoing continuity of the business? What are the overall run costs of the business? Particularly if you are the founder or entrepreneur, that key man risk grows. So you could be the sole person who's got relationships with your key clients. You will know the strategy. You'll know the nuts and bolts of your operational processes. Heaven forbid something happens to the entrepreneur or business owner, that knowledge is lost. And then it's not just that individual's family and personal income that you got to worry about. It's the livelihood of that business, and again the ripple. All the employees and associated businesses.
Taking that into account, as a business owner, it's not an easy thing to separate your personal affairs from to your business affairs. How does one start building a risk strategy? How do you guard against, or how do you start building risk management in that sense?
I think it's a dual protection strategy that you got to have in place. You've got to look at how do I protect the individual and the family that sits behind the individual. Those are traditional policies, from your severe illness to life policies, etc. But that's most commonly known. The challenge comes with the business owners, particularly in the growth environment, is they rely on a form of funding. Most of them will have got some form of credit from a bank at some point in time. The banks are very unlikely to offer an overdraft facility or anything without any form of protection or suretyship. So that as soon as you're signing a suretyship for the business and for the business loans, it immediately ties in your personal estate. So should something happen to you as an individual and there's a loan outstanding to the bank and the business hasn't got the right protection and you can't repay your loans, the bank is going to go to your estate. And that then creates further complexities for the family that's left behind as well. So you really have to make sure that you juggle the two and make sure that both are adequately covered for.
All right. So it's, I mean, to your point earlier on, as in pre-COVID, a lot of people have now gone into entrepreneurship, and you've come from employment with a steady income and the traditional protection, but now that you're a business owner, there's other things that you need to take into account. I mean, what are some of the examples that we should be thinking about, especially if you start thinking business owner, this is your business, this is your strategy, this is what you're building, besides the employees.
Sure.
Yeah.
Look, there's two things to look at. One is your classic insurance type cover and
Right.
risk management principles, both personal and business. There are other things you can do in the immediate case to try and reduce and lower your key man risk within a business as well.
Right.
Are you hiring sufficient people around you? Are you sharing the knowledge? Are you training and upskilling? Are you building your operational processes that they're not dependent on any one particular individual?
Right.
So that you can have continuity in the business. That alone will start reducing um, the risk of or key man risk within the business.
Right.
And then your additional policies can kick in and support. It's pretty simple in my mind. Ask for expert advice and assistance. Do it sooner than later.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
also so many stories out there where they say, no, I'll do it next month or when I get quieter. The reality is, as an entrepreneur, that time never comes because you
Yeah.
are constantly building. You are constantly saying, well, I've achieved X, but can I do more? How can I do better? How can I
Yeah.
increase my revenue? How can I grow my market share? That moment never comes. So to wait for the right opportunity, it's the
Just never
wrong
happen.
strategy. The right time is now. Do it sooner than later.
All right. And as final words, anybody that's a business owner thriving, or is trying to establish their business, what would you say they should actually start doing from a risk management perspective?
Uh, Firstly, I'd love to say to all business owners,
Yeah.
carry on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Help build this economy
Yeah.
for South Africa. Help drive our economy. Help put us on the map because they're a critical component to the economy. Second thing, make sure your business is adequately protected. The stats don't lie.
Yeah.
Only 1 in 5 businesses are adequately protected. So please do the assessment, get the help, make sure you're protected, if not for your business, for your families as well.